Welcome to day 2, where we are going to be talking out play areas. So one of the things about homeschooling a toddler or having your toddler at home all day is that you need to rotate areas throughout the day so that you don't get bored, they don't get bored. And just like a school, you know, when you look at a daycare and you see like they have the little play area and they have the park area and they have the pretend area and then they have the arts and craft area. Well, we kind of have to use our home to create all those areas. So there's a few places that I want you to start thinking, and I want you to start thinking outside of the home, right? Your homeschool environment is your whole world. That's the magic of having a homeschool. You don't have to be tied to a 4-wall area. You actually have the world to be your classroom. So you want them to work on gross motor skills, which are the big muscles, big muscles like this, right? All those big movements, the jumping, the running, the moving around. So either if you have an area at home that you have set up for them to do these big movements, or you go to a local park, you need those big body movements. So maybe just put it in your schedule. One day we're going to the park, or every afternoon we're going to the park. You want them to work on fine motor skills. Fine motor skills are all those little finger movements, those little small movements. They're going to help buttoning shirts and doing the zippers and eventually writing. So all those little fine motor skills, which is one of the things that I focus the most in my sensory classes, are those little fine motor skills. So you want to do sensory bins, you want to do art, you want to do all those little things. So if you're going to do sensory, if you're going to do art, where are you going to go? Where are you going to sit, mama? You don't want it in the middle of the living room, or if you do, you want a mat to cover the area. I usually do it in the kitchen because I have water close by, because I'm usually doing things in the kitchen like prepping food or kind of, cleaning things up and loading the dishwasher. So I put him in the little stairs and in my little island, and that's kind of where we do our activities. We also do it outside sometimes. So just think about when it comes to sensory, when it comes to art, when it comes to messy play, well, would you sit? What else do we want to work on? We want music. Music is very important to the sense of hearing, doing that creativity and those movements. It grows with the gross motor skills as well, because dancing is those big movements. So are you going to have a dance party in the kitchen? Are you going to take them to music class? So think about that. Add that into your system. And what else? Reading. Reading is very important at this age, actually at any age. As you can see, Mama loves the books. So you want a reading area. Where are you going to read with your child? Do you have a reading nook, which is like a little cozy space that they can independently sit down and pick their own books and read? So actually, I'm going to take you to my friend Danny, which I'm helping her creating all this homeschool setup throughout this week. And we are going to create a reading nook, because I think reading is such an important pre-writing skills, reading skills, creativity skills. Like there's such a big world about books. And I think it's very important for us to create love to read, because if you love to read, you can learn anything. And this doesn't go with toddlers. This goes with everyone, right? If you love to read, you can find a book about anything and you can learn. You can find wonderful stories and romantic stories and scientific data and all the goodness. So world is like a world of possibilities. I am addicted to books. I love to read. So I want to foster that in my kids and in your kids. And for that, we need a reading nook. I'm going to take you a tour of my current setup so that you can see what's happening. This has been changed throughout the years, because as my child develops and grows, I have to tweak my life. So at this point, this is our creative area. This is our sensory table that also is combined as our art table, our craft table. And right now we are working on little people craft. And then this is our reading nook. So right now I have a couch, we have some books. I can't coordinate. So And we have some toys in a cage for a lizard because lizard likes to read with us. And I actually have my big library of books in the room. But I picked some books that we can sit down on a couch, on the couch together, and we can just enjoy some time. Part of homeschooling our child also means that we do have responsibilities outside of just teaching our child, which means we have to do the dishes, we have to do laundry, and we have to entertain them as we do these tasks. So I want to introduce you to something that was revolutionary in my time and I have taught my students at Play University, and it is called this sensory busy bin. So the busy bin is basically a bin or a tray where you set up an activity that is not always out there that they're going to be playing with. It's something special that they get to do at a time where they can play on their own while you do something else right next to them. So I do a lot of stuff in the kitchen. I tend to live there a lot. So my bin lives in the kitchen. So when it's time for me to cook, when it's time for me to do the dishes, and I needed him to be entertained, I simply take it out and play with that. You can do lots of different things. You can do boxes with, different toys that they can put in. You can do a puzzle. You want something that's not going to create extra work for you, that is not to create more work cleaning. So it's not a sensory bin full of rice or beans. It's something easy for you to kind of do your thing. So one of my favorite ones, or very common one, is the Play-Doh box. So I don't know if you have seen it, but on Instagram or Pinterest, there's all these themed Play-Doh trays that you can set up. I started doing that at the beginning, and then I just couldn't keep up with all these different themes. So I created a Play-Doh box. And this is the Play-Doh box that I know that if I give it to him, he has everything that he needs in order to play with Play-Doh. This is the IKEA box. It's called the Glick box. And usually if you buy a Play-Doh kit, a lot of the Etsy sellers use this box. But it basically, I just went to the basic core thing. It's not pretty, it's not design looking, it doesn't have all these little things, but it has everything that they need to play with those fine motor skills, to use their creativity, and to be entertained on their own while you do something else. And those really are the most important things to do. So it's not about the theme, it's more about giving them the tools for them to do what they need. On this side, I have Play-Doh. I go from store-bought Play-Doh to scented Play-Doh, as we saw yesterday, so you can put that one right in. I usually sometimes do my own Play-Doh because I love to do my own Play-Doh, but in this case I have the little boxes of just regular Play-Doh. You have the tools in the top, so these are different kits that I have found on Amazon. And these are found on the ultimate guide list when I kind of tell you things that you should buy, that we talked about it yesterday, the video before. So if you haven't watched that, go back and look into that, download the resource. So I have different pins. These rollers, they make imprints. This was a flat one. I have these butter knives. Actually, these are from the kitchen section, but they are non-harm, right? They're not sharp, so they're perfect for Play-Doh. And I guess I have a little one that came with some type of toy. So I have my Play-Doh, I have my tools, and then I have what to play with. Here I have Play-Doh. I think these are sand, to play with the sand. These, they can scoop in little ice cream. This was a set from IKEA. I have cookie cutters, because obviously cookie cutters always go well with Play-Doh. And then I have little animals. This is the part that I kind of changed the most. It's my little theme. So right now we are working with bugs. So I open my little box of bugs and I have all my little creatures. So that gives them what to play with, what theme they're gonna use it, what fine motor skill they're gonna work with, and then they can choose the color to prepare with the material for the sensory play. And this box, just like this, gets saved under my kitchen counter, and then every time I needed, some independent play or something for him to be entertained while I do something else, this comes in handy. So go ahead and test your Play-Doh idea. Go ahead and put your little box in a special place and try it this week and see how it goes. I know it's gonna go well. If your child puts the Play-Doh on his mouth still. I do have a recipe for edible, or you can try something else. Instead of Play-Doh, just put some boxes. They can put the animals in and out, and you don't have to worry about things, them trying to eat it. All right, so I'll leave you with that. Go ahead, create your Play-Doh box. You don't have to get a fancy box, just get a shoe box, and then you should be ready. Okay, and I'll see you on the next video. I forgot to mention one thing. So if you are overwhelmed with the amount of toys that you have and your child is not playing independently, I have toys that I have put away and they're not currently in the playroom or in his room to be played with. This is called toy rotation. And if you haven't heard, it's rotating the toys so that your child focuses on the toys that they have at home in front of them and not like being overwhelmed because there's so many things they cannot choose from. Like your closet, and you're like, I don't know what to wear. Exactly like that. So if that's something that interests you, I do have a full-on course about toy rotation, which you can in 1 hour get all the details. But it basically means put some stuff away, put some stuff out in the playroom, and rotate it as they get bored. So they're like, ooh, remember that shirt that you haven't worn forever? Yeah, it feels so new. Same with the toys. So do some toy rotation if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed and if you need a little bit of extra independent play.